Hello, everybody. This is Catfish on Ice, episode 159. We are back from our two-week hiatus.
It's crazy, right?
Rich looks okay over there. Kyle looks okay over there. I'm still in one piece. We're still here. The last time we did a Catfish on Ice episode, me and Kyle Perkins did a State of the Union emergency press conference episode because the Preds were a mess.
And they listened.
They did.
They did. I think it was all because of us, man. So we're back.
I think so.
We're back We're back from hiatus. We've got our buddy Rich Howe back because he missed that episode.
We missed you so much.
We missed you guys. We missed you. We missed everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
We missed last week because life happens. We were all busy. You know, that's what goes on in these times. But we're back. The family is all back together. The crew. We're ready to talk some Preds hockey tonight.
Mike Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday night Catfish on Ice.
Have we ever done a Sunday night episode? That's a real question.
I don't think so.
Not that I can remember. If it would have been like a game watch along, but I don't think so.
I don't think we've ever done it.
I don't believe we have.
There's a first for everything. So this is your host, Chad Minton, with our co-host, Rich Howe and Kyle Perkins, episode 159 of Catfish on Ice. We have so much to cover because we've missed a lot since our last episode. We're going to really get into the most recent game that the Preds played on Saturday night back home against the Tampa Bay Lightning. A lot went on in that game, a lot to break down. It was a very close game, but if you look in the numbers, we have some things to talk about with that game. Also, the recent stretch has been really good. Max Greenberg's in here. He says Sunday night football and Preds. Yeah, well, let's turn off Sunday night football. Who's even playing right now? I don't even know.
I have no idea.
We're a hockey podcast, Max Greenberg.
I have not watched one full football game since football season started.
It was a crazy college football day on Saturday. The Tennessee Vols lost, so they're not in the college football playoff anymore. And the resident Vanderbilt fan of Catfish on Ice, we beat the Florida Gators, everybody. So
look at that.
I'm feeling kind of good right now. It's been a good weekend for me.
That's quite the achievement.
Yeah, we're on a 2-game SEC winning streak. We beat the Kentucky Wildcats. And we also beat the Florida Gators. So figured I'd drop that in there as a plug since Max Greenberg brought up football. Anyway, all right.
And Kyle and I live in Kentucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, it's football. Basketball season's here, gentlemen. All right.
Nobody cares about basketball.
Yeah.
All right. We've got to talk about – so I got this new idea I came up with here. We are going to break down the NHL in terms of tiers here, and we've got an idea here. Based on if you live in a really tall structure, you're in the penthouse suite, you're in the master bedroom, you're in the guest room, or are you in the basement?
Or you could say you're in the outhouse. You're in the penthouse or the outhouse. There you go.
We're going to call it the basement. We'll
just say basement.
We'll call it basement. We've got 4 tiers. We're going to break down the NHL based on which teams are in each tier. Where are the Preds? Where do we put the Preds in that category? I think it's going to be a really hard exercise here because, honestly, they're toying with my emotions right now. I don't know where to put them.
Sure are.
I don't know whether to I know I don't want to put them in the penthouse. I can go ahead and mark that one out there. But the other 3 categories I had to really think about. So that's going to be a fun exercise there on Catfish on Ice. First of all, guys, I missed y'all. Rich, how have you been, man? You missed the last episode. We're happy to have you back.
Doing good. Just work has been silly. So that's over now. So holiday week coming up. So missed you guys for sure. It's been a crazy few games. So
yeah, we're going to get into all of it. We're going to get into the recent stretch of Preds hockey here that we missed here on the episode on Catfish on Ice. Kyle, how are you doing, man? The last time I really talked to you on this show, we were pretty upset about this team. It seems like maybe they're definitely playing a lot better since we did that episode, But how you doing, man?
Oh, I'm pretty good now. My call up that I wanted happened.
Yeah.
I'm on cloud nine.
And we're going to talk about it. We are going.
Awesome.
I have wrote a couple articles about it on morningskate.com and also on Predlines. The Uso Parson effect here on this team. And it's not just how he's playing as an individual, but it's also the ripple effect that he is making on this team. I think it's very valid. And I want to really dive into a lot of the things I'm seeing, what Rich and Kyle are seeing from it as well, because I think it is a really, really big deal for this team. And he needs to be up here to stay. I'll just start it off with that. But we're going to get into that more later. We'll have some NHL quick hitters as well. That's what we have in store for you for episode 159 of Catfish on Ice. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're watching live right now, or if you're on Twitter, hit the follow button. We appreciate you. Also, we love live comments on these streams, so go do that as well. And we would love to get you in on the conversation. So
it's more fun for us, too.
It absolutely is. We have to ask real quick. One of us went to a hockey game since the last time we were all together. So,
yeah,
who might that be?
It's me. I'll go ahead and share. I'll break the suspense for everyone. I did go to my first Tampa Bay Lightning game since moving down here to sunny Florida, which is not so sunny today. It's like overcast and rainy and in the 50s. Yeah, it's
I feel so bad for you.
Yeah, right. Well, the funny
that's what's funny.
It was 12 degrees when I went to work the other morning.
Kyle put something on Twitter saying it was 12 degrees. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's not even that cold here.
First of all, before I talk about the Lightning game, you know what's so funny about living down here in Florida? First of all, I've been down here for like 4 months, and your body definitely acclimates to being warm all the time and sweating all the time. Yeah. And so it's in the mid-50s today, overcast, gloomy, rainy. Kind of makes me feel like I'm back in Tennessee because that's how it is during the winter in Tennessee. And I've turned into a weakling. Like I've turned into a weak Floridian because I was shivering. You see these Floridians walking around bundled up like they're about to walk through the Arctic Circle. And it's mid-50s. It is raining, and the weather and the wind and the wetness doesn't make it any better when it's that cold. But people are weak down here. Yeah. They are.
Well, Lord. One of the things you said about Florida, the sweating, that's what keeps me out of Florida. So,
that's what you get used to down here. Is
I've been down there.
You're just sweating all the time.
Yeah, it's like 105 degrees. I'm like,
no, it doesn't get that hot.
I've been there before when it's that hot.
But anyway. But it's more just the sun's always beating on you, and it's just like it is definitely always humid. But
I got one of the worst sunburns I've ever received at the Daytona 500. So,
oh Lord,
well, yeah. So I did go. I did go to my first Tampa Bay Lightning game. They played the Dallas Stars. My good buddy who we brought up on this podcast before, who's the big Dallas Stars fan. We went to go see them play this past Tuesday. Got treated to a really, really great game. By the way, went to overtime.
How was that arena? That arena just looks amazing.
It should be tip top.
I would put it right on par with Bridgestone as far as the looks of it and the glamour of it. Like it's a very, very gorgeous arena, and it's right in the part of downtown Tampa that's just like bustling. Like it's right near the bay, near the water. There's plenty of places to go walk around and eat and do all that stuff. But it's a really gorgeous arena. I wouldn't put it on Bridgestone Arena's level, and here's why. So I went in there, obviously, as a neutral fan. I did not wear any Dallas Stars colors, so no one come at me on that. Would never do that. Didn't wear Tampa Bay Lightning colors either. I was totally a neutral fan.
So you were like Rob Lowe in all those pictures where he's got the NFL hat on at the Super Bowl?
I just hope everybody has fun. That's how I felt. It actually feels good when you go to a game like that, though. You kind of like let all the emotions go, and you're just like, I just want to see a good game.
That's awesome.
My buddy was a complete wreck because he hates the Lightning because of the bubble Stanley Cup, because the Lightning beat the Stars.
They beat the Stars.
Yeah, so he
That's
hates
right.
the Lightning. He can't stand them. But it was a back and forth game, and we're going to talk about it later in this episode because we're going to do our NHL tiers. But the Dallas Stars, despite them losing in overtime in that game that I witnessed, they are legit. They are good.
And I don't know how. It
God.
doesn't make any sense.
And there were a lot of Dallas Stars fans there as well. There were. It was a very cordial game. Nobody was really like talking crap to each other. It was just good hockey. Everyone was really in good shape. The Lightning fans were really I guess I was guilty by association because I was sitting next to a Lightning fan. So I guess they assumed I was a Stars fan as well. I'm not one of those people that goes to a game and decks out in a team's merchandise that's not even playing in the game. Like, I've never done that.
Yeah.
So I didn't wear Preds gear. I probably should have. But either way, it was a fun game. It's a great arena. There's plenty to do. I highly recommend it if you're a Preds fan and you're wanting to go to a road game sometime. Come down here to Tampa. It really is a lot of fun. It's a great arena. The fans are really nice. They're really cool. But I will say the atmosphere wasn't – maybe it was because it was a Tuesday night and maybe they weren't playing a big rival like the Bruins or the Panthers or one of their big rivals. But the atmosphere was lacking. It was nothing like going to a Preds game. I mean,
I wonder if it's where they've got so used to success.
Oh, that's a good point.
I can see that. The fans definitely got into it later in the game when it was like back and forth, and the Lightning ended up having to tie it late in the game to send it to overtime. Then they won in overtime. It's not that they're not into the game. The fans are definitely into the game, and it was a packed house. It was. The seats ended up filling up, and it was a Tuesday night game. So let's keep it in perspective here. So I'm not taking anything away from the Lightning fans. It wasn't the same. Like when you go to a Preds game at Bridgestone Arena, we all know this. It is just there's chance. We have the World Cup going on right now, so I always compare it to like going to a college football game or a soccer match where you got all the chants. You got the nonstop chants, the nonstop energy. You don't really get that at a Lightning game, at least the one I went to this past Tuesday. It was more or less like fans are sitting down, they're watching the game, they're very knowledgeable. It's not that they're not into the game or they're not cheering for their team, but it was very, very different than going to a Preds game. I will say that.
It's just not rowdy. No rowdiness.
Yeah. But it's a great arena. It is a really nice arena.
It looks nice.
It looks very nice every time I see it.
And I didn't get to see the gigantic Russian Andrei Vasilevsky in net. It was Brian Elliott. They played their backup. And I will say it was hilarious because my buddy was like, man, I'm worried about this game. I don't think we're going to be able to score a lot of goals tonight because we're going up against Vasilevsky. I go, dude, you guys are going up against Brian Elliott. I think you guys are. And I literally looked at him and I go, dude, you guys are going to score. And I'm not making this up. I look at him and I go, you guys will score at minimum 4 goals tonight. I promise you. I swear on it. We can bet on it right now. You guys are going to score at least 4 goals tonight. And he looked at me and he goes, and the way the game started, he was like, man, he's like, it's not going to happen. Like, because Brian Elliott looked kind of good at first. Like, opened the game, he was making some good saves. Journeyman, NHL goaltender. He gets a start every now and then behind Vasilevsky or whatever. And I'm like, calm down, dude. You guys are going to get your goals. You're going to score your 4. And the Stars ended up scoring 4 goals. It went to overtime. They lost in overtime. So I didn't get to see Vasilevsky. I didn't get to see that gigantic human in net.
Stay Puff.
No, I didn't get to see
man covering the whole goal. There's like a spot like this big to score in against Vasilevsky, and that's it.
It's the most ridiculous looking thing.
It is. It is so ridiculous. I always remember that picture of when they played
Carey Price.
Yeah, him and Carey Price, man. Carey Price looked like a little kid. Vasilevsky's like shaking his hand. He's so big.
Even like the undoctored image still looks like ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's ridiculous because he's twice as thick as Carey is. And Carey's a grown man.
Absolutely.
But Vasilevsky has not been as dominant this year as he normally is. But anyway, we're going to do our team tiers. Let's go ahead and open up episode 159 of Catfish on Ice with our recap of what happened against that same Tampa Bay Lightning team for the Preds. Just like the Stars, the Preds lose in overtime to the Tampa Bay Lightning, a team that has gone to 3 straight Stanley Cup finals. They've won 2 of them. I know they lost some talent over the offseason with the salary cap, that darn salary cap. They had to lose some people. So, but they're still a very, very dangerous team in a stacked Eastern Conference. So my biggest takeaway from this game that the Preds played against the Lightning is thank God we got a point out of it.
Oh, yeah.
Amen.
I've never been more happy about getting a point.
It was close.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really weird game. I would say the Predators were lucky. Luck and it was a big factor in this because Tampa Bay spent a huge amount of time on offense in the offensive zone. And a team like them, you cannot do that. You cannot let them have that many looks at the goal because they're gonna make you pay, and they did. They absolutely did. The Predators, I think, just kind of lucked out a little bit.
And unfortunately, we'll go to Kyle here. I just want to say real quick, unfortunately, another really good start gets spoiled for UC Saros because he's another reason, a big reason why the Preds pulled out a point in this game is he's starting to figure it out. He's starting to look more and more like the Vezina Trophy goaltender that we know he is. Let's go to Kyle real quick. What did you think about the game, man? Overall,
that's exactly what I was getting ready to say is if Saros hadn't have been on his game like he was, this wouldn't have even been a close game because Tampa was on it.
They were.
They were hauling the mail down the ice, and they were in on every play. I mean, if Juice wasn't on his game, then they were going to get blown wide open.
He had robbed several of the Tampa Bay Lightning players of very good, what normally would have been a goal for them, shots for sure.
Absolutely, it was. Yeah, he had a heck of a game, and honestly, that was one of the better games that the entire team has played all year against a very good Tampa team that. You know, they were lucky to come away with that point, but they played a heck of a game to get that point too.
So
it was a fight for sure.
We haven't done an episode since the Preds have really gone on this recent winning stretch. They've gotten points in 5 of their last 7 games. If you count
something like that,
yeah. I mean they won 3 in a row. And then they lost this game to the Lightning, but they still get a point out of it. And they're definitely figuring out. This is what I've kind of talked about this for the past week, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on this because we haven't really talked since I've been thinking about this. But the Preds they're starting to find their winning formula here, and their winning formula is not pretty. Breaking news.
No,
but
it is not.
It doesn't matter what it looks like when you get 2 points in the standings. It just matters, can you win and can you do the things that you're best at? And so when it comes to the Predators, I think what they're doing lately, and even in the game against the Lightning, even though they come away and they don't get the win, but they get a point, they've done it for the last 4 games for sure. They have a combination of they're blocking a ton of shots. They're top 10 in the league right now in block shots as a team. And you're seeing it constantly where they're blocking a ton of shots and they're trying their best to put this team over the edge. They're trying to protect an early lead. Against the Lightning, Philip Forsberg gets a dart of a goal right off the bat.
Laser.
And so you're protecting – I mean, that's huge. I mean, against a team like the Lightning – getting that first goal, and then you go into protection mode a little bit, it's huge for a team like the Preds in the way they play. This team, I know they've had a couple comebacks here and there, and they've done some things where they've tried to come back in some games. They came back against the Vancouver Canucks in that 1 win. This team's not built to make comebacks. I'm sorry they're not. They're not. They're not built that way.
No.
We are starting to look more like the old school Barry Trotz Nashville Predators, where the team has to rely on really, really great goaltending, which luckily UC Saros is doing that lately. And the team has to block a lot of shots, and they have to get in shot lanes. They have to hit hard. They have to forecheck hard. And they've been doing that lately.
Mm-hmm.
But guys, I want to ask Kyle first. We'll go to Rich. Kyle, this offense is just completely asleep at the wheel for too long. And even in the wins, when they beat the Islanders, they were asleep at the wheel for the entire third period. And luckily, they snuck out with the win. But is this really sustainable?
Well,
Yeah.
Sustainable is a tough word.
It's a long season.
It's a long season, and you can make an argument either way that no, they're not going to be able to keep winning games this way. It's not a viable method, and you can also make the argument that as the season goes on, teams are going to get wore down, and the way the Predators are playing them can be more effective.
That's a good point.
Take the hit that Parsonen laid on Kucherov there at the end of the game. You get in the last 20 games of the season, guys probably not getting back up from that near as quickly as Cooch did the other night. It's an interesting thought to see whether they actually can hold up against the rest of the league doing this or not for the long run.
Yeah, I think what you said, Chad, about protection mode, that's been their MO for the past the wins. Especially you look at that Islanders game, they came out just shooting the lights out, on fire, and then limped to a finish and were lucky to win when they did. I mean,
they looked much worse in that game.
They did. Yeah, all the wins, the three in a row, and even getting this 1 point against Tampa, it seems like they just go into protection mode, exactly like you said, and limp to a finish and hope for the best, and that's about.
And I know it was a few games ago, but it was still since the Preds have played 4 games since our last episode of Catfish on Ice. So I want to go all the way back to the win over the Rangers. They got the whole streak started where they started to kind of flip a switch here in all this, and they started playing this style that they've been playing now for 4 straight games. That I remember distinctly in that Rangers game. Ryan McDonough laying his body out there. It was a 4-minute penalty kill they had to kill. You've got Panarin. You've got all these great scorers, Zibanejad. You've got all these great Chris Kreider. The Rangers are just loaded with snipers. And they had a 4-minute power play, double minor, to close out the game. Preds are protecting a 2-1 lead. They're a mess at that point. They haven't even that was right after our State of the Union emergency press conference episode. So the Preds were a mess then. Like, they were just trying everything they could just to grab a win. And that was a big turning point for this team, in my opinion. And we might look back on that game. Let's fast forward like 3 or 4 months from now. We might look back at that Rangers game and think that was a turning point when this team started to play a certain way. Because I remember that 4-minute penalty kill against the Rangers and Ryan McDonough blocking 2 shots on the same sequence within 10 seconds of each other. And I remember when they killed that 4-minute penalty and the game was almost over. There was only like a minute left at that point. And they killed that penalty. The crowd got up and they were cheering for their team for that gutsy penalty kill. And I remember Ryan McDonough skating to the bench, looking at his line mates and just shaking his head like, I had nothing left, boys. Like, I left it all out there. And you know what? I know that me and Kyle in the last episode, I remember talking about, I can't remember watching a Preds team that doesn't at least go out swinging. Like, they're losing in really bad fashion right now. Like, they're losing with no fight. They're losing with no passion. But lately, even in this loss of the Lightning, it wasn't pretty. But at least they get a point. They battle. They fight hard. We're starting to see this Preds team at least play with a more gritty style that we're used to seeing them play with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, it's like a switch has been flipped a little bit, and they do play with that fight. They just have a problem with settling in and trying to hold on to a lead and not attacking as much. But it is good to see these past games them putting up a fight, because the stretch before that, and when you guys did the podcast 2 weeks ago, it was bad. I mean, it was just bad hockey, bad to watch, no fun. I've never really turned a game off before because they were losing really bad, but I did actually. Not a very good fan, but I did. I turned it off. I was like, this is ridiculous. It's hard to watch actually, but
yeah,
things are looking up now, and that's good. And I think
And the major critics of this team, the fans that are just so tired of the mediocrity, and they're so tired of being average, they're not sold yet. They're not sold on this little recent stretch. And I'm not saying they should be, but at the very least, this team has stopped the bleeding a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And a big reason why is they're getting into the really dirty areas, and they're making things happen. And so the Predators right now rank 7th in the league in block shots. 7th in the league. So 304 block shots as a team this season, which ranks them 7th in the NHL. And they're also a top 10 penalty kill right now. Who saw that coming? So you've got a good combination here of UC Saros starting to find his rhythm again, which is obviously massive. We don't even have to talk about that too much to know that that's huge. The obvious. They're one of the best teams in the league at blocking shots, and they're actually a really, really reliable penalty kill team right now.
Yep.
And so the question I have scrolling across the screen right now, if you're watching the live stream, is, are the Predators relevant among the NHL's best teams? I don't know.
I don't think they're quite there yet.
Yeah.
I don't think they're there yet.
Well, relevant just means, do you think they can avoid being swept in the first round to a team like the Avalanche again? Can they avoid right now, where they sit right now, doing what they did last season in the playoffs?
I think I don't know. The last season playoffs are a little weird measuring stick because
they didn't have Saros, so there's a big one right there.
The Avalanche steamrolled everybody pretty much, so it's kind of a weird thing to measure it against. But I think at this point right now they could win a couple of games, but I don't.
That's not good enough, obviously.
I don't think they're
good enough for anybody.
They're quite there yet. I think they're getting there. I'm liking what I'm seeing. It's just not yet. Not yet.
I got to agree with Rich. I think they're close, but not quite. They're better than they were.
For sure.
By miles. They're miles better than they were. But I still don't know that I could see them beating maybe the Avs this year. They're not quite as untouchable as they were last year. But if they go up against a team like the Avalanche last year, whoever that might be at that point in time this year, I don't know that your result's going to be that much different. I think they might win 2.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
I still think they're not going deep at this point.
Mike Twitter's commenting on the Lightning game here. He's giving us a lot of good stuff here. He says, Can we blame Juuso for the overtime breakdown last night, though? Is he talking UC Parso or Parsonen?
Juuso Parsonen. Yes, he made a mistake.
Well, that's going to happen. He's a young player. He's going to make mistakes.
Is it him or Ekholm? I kind of blame Matthias Ekholm a little bit.
It was a bit of a group effort.
I guess so, yeah.
But, Also, Mike Twitter jumps in and says, what I would say from watching opposing teams' feeds of the game, which I like to do that too. I like to watch with the ESPN Plus subscription. You can choose which broadcast you want to watch. I like to hear what the opposing broadcasts say about the Predators, and it's always pretty enlightening. But Mike Twitter says, what I would say from watching opposing teams' feeds of the game, none of them count the Predators down. I've heard that as well. They get a lot of respect from the opposing broadcast a lot of times.
That's good.
So All right. Thanks for the comments, Mike Twitter. Our good buddy Mike Twitter has been with us from almost day one. Yeah, since we've been on YouTube for sure. So we love you, man. We appreciate you commenting. All right. So some other things I really saw from the Lightning game, and I think we've all kind of already said this, is the Predators got to feel lucky to get a point because that game was definitely dominated by the Lightning. It was another game where the Predators just really couldn't muster up a lot of offensive pressure. And, I mean, you're looking at the stats on Money Puck here. The expected goals were dominated by the Lightning. But look at this. Here's something I stumbled upon just looking at this game earlier today. And it's kind of it's a really bad stat. You don't want to really see this. So Cody Glass, Ellie Tolvanen, and Cole Smith led the team in expected goals percentage. Like they were the three most dominant offensive players.
That's weird.
For the Predators.
And two of the three will be benched the next game.
That's a possibility.
Here's where it'll frustrate you even more. Those three players had the lowest time on ice in this game.
I'll guarantee it.
So your three most offensively effective players also had the lowest time on ice. I mean, when I saw that, I'm like, how is that possible? Like, that's horrible. Guess who was number 4 on your team for expected goals percentage? You never want this player to be number 4 on your team. Jeremy Lauzon.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Jeremy Lauzon was number 4. Dante Fabro. So a lot of your defensemen were all leading your offense, which was very little. You don't want to see this, but guess who's at the rock bottom on this list against the Lightning? Ryan Johansson.
Really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought that.
I mean, all your guys that you need to really push the offense, even with Forsberg scoring a goal, he's still really far down there. He got the early goal, but then he was kind of like just not able to get loose. And the Lightning are a very good defensive team. A lot of people forget that.
Yeah. What about your boy Cole Smith? Unluckiest dude on the team, right? Gotta be.
He cannot buy a goal. Man. This poor guy cannot buy a goal to save his life. I mean,
he's hit the pipe. I can't even think how many times it is.
When he scores that first goal, man, everyone's going to go nuts for him. The whole locker room is going to go nuts for him, and they should do that because the dude, I still think there's better options out there, but hey, for whatever reason, he is a mainstay in this lineup now.
He's showing them something in practice, I guess. I don't know.
He fits the mold of this team. He fits what John Hines wants in his team.
Don't say it.
Identity.
He fits the identity.
We have to say it. He does fit the identity. He does. We're about to get more into Juuso Parssinen and the effect he makes on this lineup, but I just wanted to throw some love to Juuso Parssinen. The dude does other things, everybody. The dude won 6 of his 9 faceoffs in this game.
Got a scrap. That was good to see.
He does other things. He was pretty quiet offensively. In fact, very quiet. He did get an assist in the game, but he didn't register any shots on goal. So he was quiet as far as shooting the puck. But he's playing like an NHL veteran. It's so impressive to see how this young of a player can find his place in the lineup, and it might not be scoring goals every game. And it's so hard to find that in such a young player like him. And so, sure. I mean, if he gets yanked out of this lineup, then I think everyone's going to be.
He's your new first line center.
I think
he has to be.
Yeah, I think you're right. So I looked up on Hockey Reference points. So he is number 9 on the whole team for points with 5 in 4 games, but the top 8 all have 18 games. Cole Smith obviously is underneath him. Tanner Jeannot, Tolvanen, Sissons, Trennan, all those guys are have played way more games than Parssinen and have fewer points. So
he just I can't get over how comfortable he looks from literally the first minute he played of ice time in his first game. I cannot get over how comfortable he looks. And Kyle Perkins, you called it, man. Like you have been talking about this guy. I'm literally One day I'm going to go back and I'm going to look back at some of our past episodes over the summer, and I'm going to find some clips of you, because I know they happened, of you talking about Yuso Parsonen, and I'm going to share them to the world, and you can just bask in your glory, because you had some really good points about Parsonen over the offseason when very few people were talking about him. We know about On the Future.
I think
who
didn't
was
you
talking
call
about it for a long time.
You called the early call up too, didn't you?
Yep. I said he would be the first call up.
I remember that.
Yeah. So, and he doesn't. He needs to be. He needs to be in the Preds lineup.
I don't think he's going anywhere. Carl Taylor, when they asked him about him, and his comment was he's a pro. And that coming from Taylor's about as high of a praise as you could ask for.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, Yuso's not doing anything different than what he's ever done. If you could go back and watch him playing for TPS over in Finland, he is doing the same exact things he's always done. Very defensively sound. Most of his offensive chances come off of his defense, like the stick lift the other day that he turned into the goal. Just little things like that. He plays such a good 200-foot game that it's going to be really hard to knock him out of that top center spot, because they don't have anybody else that talented to play that spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
I agree 100%.
So go ahead. Well, I was going to say that gets us in. Let's go ahead and open up our next topic of Catfish and Ice, episode 159, and that is the Juuso Parsonen effect on this lineup. Kyle's already talking about it. It's huge. Like, it's a ripple effect here. Like, it really affects this entire Preds team and how the rest of the team gels. It's like putting a puzzle together when you're trying to put these lines together. And Juuso Parsonen, I know it sounds kind of corny, but Juuso Parsonen could literally be the missing piece of the puzzle that John Hines was looking for to make this season work. Is that what you're kind of seeing, Kyle, on that? Like, is that possible?
Absolutely. Because one of the big things for him is his work ethic. You talk about Jeannot and his work ethic to make his way up. Well, Parsonen's the same way. He was a 7th-round pick, a kid that probably should have never sniffed the NHL if you go by picks and all that kind of good stuff. Yeah. And when you see somebody like that out there working that hard, whenever your stars, per se, see this kid out there playing like that, that's going to inspire them to do better. Maybe out of embarrassment or just motivation, I can't really say, but if I'm Philip Forsberg and I'm on the line with this kid and you see him driving somebody through the wall every single time they come into the zone or anything like that, I'm going to feel like, hey, I need to do more since he's doing more. So I think that's kind of lit a fire under the rest of the team, just his general work ethic.
Yeah. So to speak on that, I think it was against the Islanders. Late in the game. Parsonen made a kind of a rookie mistake. I think he turned the puck over or made kind of he definitely turned the puck over, and Saros had to make a really good save. It happens, even to the best of them. And I remember seeing him skate to the bench, and Forsberg was sitting to his left, and Forsberg kind of nudges him and looks at him. And I don't know exactly what he said, but I tried to read lips. And basically it looked like the equivalency of saying, like, hey, man, turn the page. Like, it happens. I want to think he said something to that regard. But what was so cool about it, seeing it, is Parsonen has literally that eye of the tiger. Like, he just looks like, you know what? I'm focused on the next play.
Yeah, and he was really upset. Like, he was really upset with himself.
So you guys know what play I'm talking about.
I do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really cool. I thought it was really, really cool of Forsberg to pick the rookie up like that, because that's going to happen. Like, Parsonen's going to make mistakes, everybody. Like, the dude is not – he's human, but he's he's not a robot. Like, he's going to make mistakes. Some of them might end up in the back of the net. You have to live with those things when you call a rookie up. But all the great things he's bringing to this lineup right now far outweighs some of the mistakes he might make. They far outweigh him, in my opinion.
A lot.
So
for sure.
I kind of wanted to talk about some other things I'm seeing out of how he's affecting the lineup right now. The biggest thing is how having Yusuf Parson in this lineup can literally give John Hines a chance to actually have a stable 4 lines that he can roll with, occasionally swap some guys out here and there for maintenance days or whatever. But I really feel like the ripple effect of Yusuf Parson gives you a top 6 that you can feel really good about. Because if you think about it, Yusuf Parson is playing with Philip Forsberg right now, and he's playing with Mikael Granlund.
Yes.
That's a really good lineup. That's a really good top line. And you're getting to see Parson play with 2 established veterans. This could actually unlock the potential for Mikael Granlund to actually start getting more involved offensively and start scoring some goals because he has that ability. What I really love about it, and this is the ripple effect I'm talking about here, is we didn't see it against the Lightning, unfortunately, but maybe we'll see it more going down the road. I hope so. But the second line that you're seeing of Niederreiter, Johansson, and Duchesne,
they look good.
You've got a 3-pronged veteran second line. There is no excuses for that line not to be very, very productive. You got 3 veterans who have been in this league. They've got great skill sets. You got 3 guys who can distribute the puck. You've got great skaters. You've got Duchesne, who is is definitely the best skater out of those 3. You've got Niederreiter, who's a great 2-way player. And then you've got Johansson, who's a great distributor. I love it. But that doesn't happen necessarily if you don't have Parson in the mix here. So that's kind of what I'm getting out of that.
You can't because there's not an option.
Exactly.
There's no other options to put in the lineup. You have to leave them the way they were.
Yeah. So it's a big deal here that if Parson can stick, which I think he will, then suddenly Hines has the ability to have a really good top 6. And then the bottom 6 obviously is going to be a work in progress. But, we've talked about Mark Jankowski, guys, and he should not be overlooked in all this.
Yeah.
Who's hurt.
He just got dinged up.
Yeah, well, but unforeseen. No one brought up Mark Jankowski going into the season.
Another thing I like is his willingness to break up the herd line. I think that ships might have sailed by now. Unfortunately, they're just not producing like they had been.
Well, Yakov Trenton's been out of the lineup too.
He has been. That's true, but I do know. I think even when he was in, he had split them up, which I think it was finally time to admit that wasn't working anymore. So.
I mean, we look at they had Johansson, Forsberg, and Arvidsson, and for so long, and they kept trying to make that work, and it just lost its magic.
It worked for a bit, and they just kept trying to recapture that.
And as much as we all love the herd line, maybe the ship has sailed. 2 years is a long run for a line.
Sure is.
I mean, there's a big problem right now with the Preds offense. And it continued against the Lightning, is they're going on these really long spells in games where they just can't even test the goaltender. They can't even find sustained offense at all. And so, I mean,
that's true.
They might not make the playoffs if they can't remedy this. I know they're winning recently, and they've been winning ugly, and they've been riding on the back of UC Soros being really stellar. They've had some really great penalty killing lately, as we talked about. But like I asked earlier, is it sustainable? Me personally, I don't think it is. So they're going to have to start at least getting some of that crazy offensive production that we saw last season from guys like Forsberg. Forsberg is a point per game guy this year.
Yeah, he's not doing bad.
No one's talking about that, but he's quietly a point per game player right now.
He's atop the point leaderboard for the Predators. So
yeah, I mean, but we got the season leaders scrolling across the screen right now. Forsberg leads the team in points, goals, all that stuff. But yeah, the offense is going to have to wake up here.
Yeah, you want to see more. Which game? I think it was the Rangers game. Parsonen and Janikowski. Those are your 2 goal scorers. And it's like, I know,
Yep.
Well,
they weren't even going against Igor Shesterkin. They were going against Yaroslav Halak.
They've actually been lucky to play some backup goaltenders lately.
Mm-hmm.
They've been a little fortunate for sure. But
we need to say hi to some folks real quick. Nikki stopped in. She said she's driving somewhere. She wanted to just say hi. And then Lindsay said, hello, friends. It's been a while.
We haven't seen Lindsay in a while. We miss you, Lindsay.
No, yep.
And Nikki. Thank you, Lindsay and Nikki, who's in our fantasy hockey league right now.
Had a bad week, gentlemen, on that.
The defending champion, Kyle Perkins, is quietly in second place and defending his crown right now. So
look at him.
Look at him go.
Look at him go. Anyway.
You got the Mr. Burns from The Simpsons laugh over there.
Excellent.
All right, we're about to move on here. We're about to break down our tiers of the entire NHL, from the penthouse to the outhouse, basement, whatever you want to call it. Where are we going to put the Preds? Before we do that, let's throw some love to DraftKings, our awesome and amazing sponsor that's been with us for so long and supports us. Hockey fans, light the lamp this winter with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. New customers can bet just $5 pre-game money line on any NHL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. So basically, you're going into a slate of NHL games. Let's say it's a Monday or a Tuesday. You're scrolling through the DraftKings Sportsbook app. They list all the games for you all conveniently on your app. You just join the app, and you come across a matchup, and you're like, I'd be a fool to not take this team. Well, that's what you do with this offer right here. And all you got to do is throw down $5 to pick the team you think is going to beat the other team. It doesn't matter what the spread is or what the odds are. Just take the team you think is going to win. And you can win $150 in free bets from that. If that wasn't enough excitement, you can turn small bets into bigger payouts with same-game parlays. So while the game's going on, you can get into more bets, same-game parlays. Combine multiple bets like which team will win, how many goals will be scored, and more for your shot at an even bigger payout. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Bet $5 on any NHL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code THPN. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. Please see our show notes below for details on any gambling help that you may be seeking. There's numbers you can call. There's ways you can contact support if you have a gambling problem.
Yep. I have a gambling tip. Oh, go ahead. Finish DraftKings.
I was going to say DraftKings is awesome. They're there for you. It's one of the best sporting apps out there. They are the best sporting betting app out there. And it's very user-friendly, and you can withdraw and get your cash whenever you want. So go get it with our promo code THPN.
I have a betting tip. I don't bet. I very rarely, if ever, bet. Here's your tip. Ready? Place a bet on the team, whoever is going to play New Jersey, to win, because surely they're going to lose within the next game or two. They have to.
They're due.
They're on a 12-game winning streak. It's incredible. So surely they're going to lose in the next game or two.
Who saw that coming? Who saw the New Jersey Devils coming? I certainly didn't.
Not me.
I mean, Greg Wyshynski is a fan of that team. Openly will admit it, and he's just like, I don't know. I don't understand.
It's crazy. So
a lot of time left. That takes us perfectly into our next segment of episode 159. episode 159 of Catfish on Ice. We are about to break down the entire NHL in terms of tiers. And we're doing it based on if you're all sharing a house together. If all the NHL, picture it like this. The entire league is sharing a big condo or big house together with all these bedrooms. Which like NHL teams are in the penthouse suite that's overlooking and has a great view with a private bathroom and a jacuzzi and a fireplace, all that great stuff? Who's in the nice little master bedroom? Who's in the guest room, which is very basic, but still a nice room? And then who's in the, you know what? Outhouse sounds better than basement, but I said basement. But either way, who's slumming it up in the basement these days in the NHL? That's how we're doing normally we do our battle for the Central Power Rankings. We're going to actually just do it this way this week. We're going to do the NHL tiers based on where they're staying in the house. Remember that show on MTV called Real World?
Oh yeah,
where they all stayed in the same house together. That's what I'm thinking, like NHL Real World style. Like who's staying in the nice part of the house and who's staying in the basement. So I'm about to scroll my short list of teams, and I want you guys to react to it. You're gonna see it on the bottom of the screen. All right.
All right. Let's see.
So my NHL tiers. I got Bruins, Avs, Golden Knights, Leafs, Hurricanes, and Stars in the penthouse right now.
I think you left somebody out of the penthouse. The New Jersey.
No, I don't trust them.
Oh.
All right.
It's a long season, gentlemen.
It is.
And I might eat my words later. There's a lot of teams scrolling across the bottom of the screen right now. I know, guys. It's a lot to take in right now. It's a lot to process.
You've broken it up pretty good.
I don't know if you guys missed where I have the Predators, but I have the Predators in the guest room right now.
I think that's a good spot for them, and that's what I would say for sure.
Like they've been welcomed into the house, but the host, which is the NHL, they're saying, you know what, we're gonna send you to the guest room over there. Like it's not that fancy, but you can stay in the guest room.
You even got Carolina in there before New Jersey.
I just don't trust them. I'm sorry, guys. It's nice. It's a nice story. They can easily go on a 6-game losing streak after this.
They could.
And then what are we going to say after that?
They could, for sure. It's like, where are they at? St. Louis. Yeah, they were definitely on the bottom tier for a while, and
now they've won a 6-game win streak. Now they've won a 6 in a row. Yeah.
You're right.
It's the league is very helter-skelter right now. It's back and forth. I think everything's about to start taking shape. I might eat my words on the Devils. I'll gladly do it.
Yeah.
But I do not trust them.
I definitely agree with Boston and those guys. I haven't watched any of the New Jersey Devil games, but I have watched the Boston games. Those dudes are legit. They've put it together. So yeah, I mean, I think the way they're playing it's pretty sustainable for those guys. So I don't know anything about Jersey, so I can't comment on them, but
what do you think about my tiers, Kyle? Like, is there so besides the Devils, is there a team that's jumping out to you where I'm way off on it, and according to you, like a team that I have in the wrong spot or something?
I wouldn't.
There's a lot of teams coming at you right now.
The Leafs. I wouldn't put the Leafs in the top tier.
You don't trust the Leafs?
I don't trust them at all.
The Leaf.
Okay.
They're going to do the Letterkenny leave in the first round again.
You don't trust Austin Matthews, and did y'all see that? It was a while ago, but did you see where his entire team stuck up for him and he was clowning around like?
Oh, I did see that.
That big scrum that happened. Who was that against? It was a while. It was a couple weeks ago. But
I don't remember. But people gave him crap for it.
Yeah, his whole team came up to bat for him, and he was the one that started the whole tussle to begin with. And then he's just like letting his whole team like fight for him, and he's just like standing back, being a clown. And it's like it's a bad look for one of the best players in the league. You know, you don't want one of your poster childs of the team. Of the league doing that kind of thing. It looked weak, but
I've never really seen him get in any kind of like fight though. Really,
no, he won't.
I know he's not a.
He'll be an instigator. Austin Matthews will be an instigator all day.
For sure.
I think Austin Matthews is trying to avoid being the next Sidney Crosby when it comes to getting picked on. Because Sidney Crosby used to have a target on his back in his prime. Teams used to target him, and the league would definitely give him the benefit of the doubt and give him a lot of calls. But Sidney Crosby was the same way, but he was a lot more buttoned up about it. Austin Matthews likes to chirp, and he likes to add fuel to the fire, but he won't actually engage. And all of his teammates will go to battle for him, and I just think that's a bad look.
Yeah, I agree. I do remember seeing that. He was like laughing about it. I can't remember. Somebody was in the middle of that who normally doesn't fight too, but I don't remember.
Oh, his entire team went out to bat for him.
Yeah.
He's just like sitting back laughing about it. I'm like, that looks bad on your teammates. Yeah. Like, I'm sure behind closed doors, I bet a lot of his teammates were not happy about how that unfolded.
I can't remember if like Mitch Marner was in on that.
I'm sure he was.
That dude, you definitely don't want that dude anywhere near any kind of fight.
So let me
easily breakable.
Let me expand on my penthouse team. So obviously the Bruins are just mowing through the entire league. And I will say that I think there is a distinct difference between the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference this year.
It ain't even close.
The Eastern Conference is very, very stacked with great teams. I think the Western Conference is a little watered down, which might work out great for the Predators. I think the Predators are right in the middle of that muckiness, that watered-down conference that I think the West has kind of become. Take out a couple teams up at the top. The Golden Knights are playing great. I think the Avs, even though I got the Avs still in the penthouse, I do. Because, again, kind of like I don't have respect on the Devils right now because it's so early in the season. It's kind of the opposite for me with the Avs. I think they're going to eventually round things out. The Avs are dealing with a ton of injuries right now. It's all going to round out for them. So I still got the Avs in the penthouse for right now. They're still and they're defending Stanley Cup champs. So I'm not moving them out of the penthouse yet.
But the players they've lost, though, you can tell there's a little bit of a chink in the armor for sure because of the guys they don't have anymore. But I mean, they're still powerful. I mean,
that's I'm not going to move the Hurricanes out of the penthouse yet because they're my Stanley Cup pick. Before the season started, if you guys remember, I had Hurricanes taking out the Avs in my Stanley Cup prediction. I'm not going to move away from that. So I got the Hurricanes in the penthouse. Here's a team I did not think I would have in the penthouse right now. That is the Dallas Stars, gentlemen. And I saw them live this past week against the Lightning. They lost in overtime just like the Preds did just now. But the Stars are legit, guys. They are a very balanced team. They've got great goaltending with Jake Ottinger. They've got a good backup goaltender. They're in good shape.
Yep. I will agree with that. Ottinger makes that team very viable.
Yes, he does. For sure.
Is there any? So you guys would both put the Devils in your penthouse right now?
It's hard not to.
You're buying what they're selling. You're buying what the Devils are selling. A little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know about Florida.
Florida.
They're about middle of the pack. Well, that's kind of where you have them. They're kind of in the middle a little bit. So, your bottom tier is spot on. That's for sure.
Except for the Blue Jackets, they're another team that's hard to figure out. The Blue Jackets beat the Panthers tonight 5-3. It was a pretty quiet night in the NHL, but the Blue Jackets beat the Panthers, and then the Blackhawks are starting to come back down to reality after kind of starting off kind of okay. They lose to the Penguins 5-3. So
that's weird because I know nobody likes Chicago or whatever, but they were playing really good. They were doing really well, and now, man, they're on a 3-game losing streak. But maybe the reality hit them.
I know it's really early in the season. Most teams are only 15, 16, 17, 18 games through the season. But if you look at the Central Division right now, second place and sixth place is separated by 3 points.
Yep.
And the Predators are right in the middle of it with 18 points. So obviously we can't make any sweeping conclusions right now on how the Predators fit into all this. But at the very least, they've stopped the bleeding.
Yeah.
And they're right in the middle of it.
Then when you look at the Metropolitan and the Atlantic, 1st to 6th is separated by like 12 and 13 points, which
And that's how it was last season too, if I remember correctly. It was the same way.
Speaks to the fact of what you said about how the Eastern Conference is like just but very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I think your Stanley Cup champion is going to come from the East, I would think.
Yeah, it feels that way for sure.
Feels that way for sure.
Yeah, so in my master bedroom, I do have the Panthers still in there, which I kind of want to pull them out of it after losing to the Blue Jackets tonight. But I've got the Panthers, I got the Lightning, I've got the Rangers, the Oilers, the Jets, and the Kraken in my master bedroom.
Whoever thought that too, yeah.
The Kraken look good in their second year of being
really
an
well.
NHL team. And they're an easy team to cheer for too. I mean, they are.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of hate there yet.
The guest bedroom is like a lot of, I mean, you're average, you're not, and no one wants to be in the guest room. You'd rather be staying in the master bedroom at least. But that's kind of where the Preds find themselves. They don't have a lot of amenities. They're in that guest room. Like you get a decent little bed, you get like a nightstand, maybe a small little TV, but it's not fancy. That's where the Preds are. They're in the guest room for me.
Yeah. They're actually toward the bottom. There's some teams like Montreal is actually ahead of them. And if you look at the whole league, yeah, they're kind of in you get to stay in the guest bedroom for a little bit, but you might get kicked out if you don't start doing the dishes or something. You're not pulling your weight in the house. So
well, the Preds like to cause a lot of drama. Like they like to fight. They like to do a lot of the bad things. So they might get kicked down to the basement very quickly.
Yeah, there you go.
They've actually tampered down on the penalties this year, gentlemen. They're not leading the league in penalties anymore. They're like still top 10, but they're not the most penalized team.
They have, but it seems like they don't have a little bit of their edge they had last season. They can't find a happy medium. It's like they're either going to like try to beat everybody up or they're not going to beat anybody up. So
yeah,
they need to find the middle ground there and get a little bit of that raw edge back to them.
So that is our NHL tiers. And that's where I've got the Predators. They're in the guest room.
Speaking of penalties, I know we haven't talked in a bit. I really wanted to see Tanner Jeannot just like dismantle Ryan Reeves. As soon as those guys started squaring off, I was like, yes, here we go. This is going to be awesome. And it wound up.
It was so boring.
It really not wound up being that awesome.
So, all right. So we got Mike. We got Mike Twitter jumping in. Will the Preds beat the Devils on December 1st with me in the house?
Yes.
That game's coming up really soon. That should be a good game.
That's
two
awesome.
Two teams that don't play each other very often, so those are always fun matchups. Lindsay jumps in and says, "I don't trust the Leafs at all."
Thank you, Lindsay.
That's because Canadian teams, like when you like your team and you hate the other one. So
I also have her Calgary Flames in the guest room, by the way, with the Predators. They're bunk mates at this point. And then Lindsay also says, also the Oilers are too high. I don't trust them at all. Mainly their goaltending. I'm not.
Okay.
All right. Well,
okay.
we'll take your word for it.
We know who Jack Campbell used to goaltend for. We know how much you hate Toronto. That's funny.
Yeah. So it's always fun watching the Western Conference and how it shakes out because it's always a close race until the end. All right, awesome. Gentlemen, we're about to round out episode 159 of Catfish on Ice, brought to you by DraftKings, part of the Hockey Podcast Network, with Chad Minton, Rich Howe, and Kyle Perkins. We're back from the 2-week hiatus. The Predators get to take on the Arizona Coyotes up next. Safe to say we need to come out with 2 points there, gentlemen. I mean, am I going out on a limb there?
They pretty much got to.
The Arizona Coyotes live in my nightmares because all I can think about is how that last season ended and UC Saros getting hurt in that game. Mm-hmm. And the Predators figured out a way to lose. And then we figured out, we're playing the Avalanche in the first round. And then the rest is history. We get swept. We were literally covering that game live on a Catfish on Ice episode.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because I remember as soon as Saros got hurt, Kyle was like, what's going on?
I think I was in the middle of saying something really like a really good. I was making a really good thought, and then I watched Kyle on the other end of the screen, just like stone cold.
And we were like, is his skate messed up? Because he was like favoring his leg and like lifting it up. His skate's got to be messed up. Nope.
So the Coyotes kind of opened up the season being like a little feel-good story. They were winning some games. People were kind of happy for them. Kind of like the three-legged dog, and you just root for him, type of thing. It's kind of how I look at the Coyotes. But they're kind of coming back down to reality. They've lost 3 in a row. They lost to Vegas 4-1. They lost to the Rangers 4-1. They lost to the Devils. But I will say – the Predators better come out and be ready to play. The Predators are not a good enough team right now to take anybody lightly. Anybody. No. I don't care who it is.
Nope.
You are not a good enough team right now to not come out taking every team like it's a Stanley Cup game.
Yeah, you can't. None of them ever should do that actually in the NHL because they're all capable of beating each other on any given night.
The Coyotes are going to have a 3-day break going into this game. Last time the Coyotes were out, they lost 4-1 to the Golden Knights.
They must have finals. They got papers to write.
Will we see Connor Ingram in net? That would be really odd if they throw Connor Ingram in net. I hope not, because that'd just be really awkward.
So
Connor Ingram last played a game a week ago, and he gave up 4 goals to the Rangers. So, I don't know. It's possible we might see Connor Ingram. I don't know for sure, but it's possible. And that's going to be really weird. And if the Coyotes want to be trolls and throw Connor Ingram out there, might be a little strange. I don't know.
Yeah, looking at the schedule for the rest of November, they got Arizona, Detroit, Colorado, and then Anaheim on the 29th. So,
yep, we got it right there at the bottom of the screen. A lot of winnable games coming up, though, if you really look at it.
Yeah.
If you're just going off paper matchups here, Arizona, Detroit, Columbus, which, I mean, let's talk. That's the worst loss of the season is how they lost to Columbus, in my opinion. Anaheim's probably the worst team in the league right now. I would say Anaheim is fair to say. So you've got plenty of opportunities on the upcoming schedule to get some points here. Get 2 points, not just one. You need to be getting 2 points in a lot of these games. You get Colorado at home. You get Columbus at home. A lot of home games recently. So the Predators are trying to win back the fan base right now because the fan base is pretty fed up. They've been fed up for a long time, but they're really fed up right now.
Man, so yeah, Twitter was rough when they were going through their little stretch in the beginning, man. Whew.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're still really ticked off. I don't think these last couple wins really have changed anything.
Yeah.
But if the Predators in these next 6 games we're looking at here on the bottom of the screen, if they can win 4 out of those 6, then I think that the Predators can get back to a place where we can start kind of buying their stock again. Like we can start actually getting back, taking them seriously. But I'm very cautious about that right now because I could totally see them have a really bad game against a team like Arizona or a team like Detroit, which I know Detroit's on the up and up and they're getting a little bit better. But we're talking about some winnable games here coming up in the upcoming schedule, and the Predators need to take care of business.
They need to keep their foot on the gas the whole time.
They need to keep playing the way they've been playing. I want the offense to wake up, but I like what they're doing defensively.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think
that
they can build off of this.
Yeah. I
think that's kind of where we're at with it.
I think putting Yossi and McDonough together was kind of a pretty cool thing. So it seems to
worked out very well.
Yeah. Better than the other one. Other places he's been for sure. So
how about the defensive pairings? Jordan Gross just vanished like a magic trick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone was talking about him, and then he just never to be seen ever again.
No. Yeah, it's really weird.
They're sticking with Jeremy Lauzon and Dante Fabro, it looks like.
And that's not too bad.
And we also have you guys heard any updates on Mark Borowiecki? Because I have not. And what's going on with him right now?
Nothing.
I haven't
seen
heard a
anything.
word.
So I'm really worried about that dude. I hope that it's not something really serious behind closed doors that we don't know about, because you're talking about one of the most likable Preds players that I've ever cheered for. Like, the guy is just solid 100, great person. He's been through so much, and I haven't heard any updates about him as far as why he's not been in the lineup lately. I know has he played really since he took that really bad hit?
No,
he hasn't played at all.
He was concussed.
So I don't know if that. I mean, it really worries me that could be like the beginning of the end of his career, and I hope not. But the dude's already been through so much; it might be really hard for him to come back from something like that. I hope that's not the case, because like
Nikki said, last I heard, he was healing well, although no timeline.
Yeah. And I mean, he's getting towards the end of his career in terms of hockey years. He's getting on up there a little bit. And I just don't – I hope that it's not the last time we've seen him in a Preds uniform, but it does have me nervous when it comes to that. But right now the Preds are pretty much rolling with a consistent top 6 defensive pairings here. Yeah. And it's Jeremy Lauzon, and it's Dante Fabro, and it's your top 4 core defensemen.
Well, the first night they put – Yossi and McDonough together. Yossi had 4 assists. So
Yossi's starting to click again. Yeah,
Yossi's starting to Yossi.
That was really unfortunate. That was really unfortunate what happened with McDonough at the end of the Lightning game, that he takes a penalty against his former team, and it was a penalty that ended up allowing the Lightning to tie the game to get it to overtime. That was very unfortunate for him. It was clearly a penalty. I'm not saying it was a bad call, but just unfortunate for him I'm sure that was hard to sit in the penalty box and watch that at the time.
Yeah. I was glad that the referees called. Was it I can't remember. It was where they put Pat Maroon in the penalty box because he grabbed a hold of Dante Fabro. I can't remember who the Predator player who got a penalty, but I was glad that they called that, because I think the Lightning get away with a lot of dirty stuff. So,
well, that's well noted. We know that.
Very dirty, especially Pat Maroon. He's probably one of the dirtiest players out there.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Like I said, I'm happy they got a point out of it, because they had no business even getting 1 point out of that game. It wasn't their best effort, but UC Saros had a great game, and Forsberg got the early goal, and it kind of salvaged the game for them. But I plan on going to when the Preds come down here on December 8th. I plan on going to it. So I will report back with how that goes in enemy territory down here in Tampa, because I will be decked out in my Preds gear for that.
So, paint your face and all that stuff?
I don't know about painting my face. I don't know about that. I might leave that part out. But the rest of it, yes, it'll be all it'll be all Preds. All right, guys. Awesome. This has been a really fun episode. We're happy to be back. Appreciate all the live commenters here. Catfish on Ice, episode 159 with Chad Minton, Kyle Perkins, Rich Howe. We will see you coming up here very soon for a brand new episode 160. We will see you then. Take care, everybody. Have a great week. This has been Catfish on Ice, episode 159, brought to you by DraftKings. Have a great week, everybody.
Have a good one.
See y'all.